So you don't have your starting quarterback or your leading ball carrier or leading receiver from the year before. For a lot of programs, that would be devastating. But then again, we're talking about USC, who is facing this predicament. But if you know anything about Southern Cal football, especially in recent years, you have a feeling that they're still going to be just fine because of the existing talent that they already have and the talent that they're bringing in thanks to another top 5 recruiting class for Clay Helton, USC. Of course, coming off another conference championship. They're 39th after winning the Pac-12 over Stanford in last season's title game. Another major bowl game, by the way, for the Trojans. And USC, you have a feeling, will still be competitive despite losing some key elements from last year. And we'll start at the quarterback position, where, as expected, Sam Darnold decided to test the NFL waters and leave Southern Cal a year early. This position, on paper, appears to be wide open. Matt Fink, the only scholarship QB on this roster who actually completed a pass last year, and he went 6 of 9. But that's it as far as your experience goes. You have Jack Sears, a freshman, and another freshman that I do think will be the president in future for the men of Troy. That's J.T. Daniels out of Mater Dei High School in California. In fact, led that team to a 15-0 record and a state championship. Daniels' arm and his accuracy speaks for itself, and was the National Player of the Year last year, Gatorade National High School Player of the Year. So USC definitely getting some talent. Of course, the experience, though, that's the scary part. Now, the running game, you're going to miss, no question, Ronald Jones, a back that could do it all, put up big numbers. But the good news for the Trojans, you have a veteran offensive line, and Stephen Carr, that should be good news for him. Last year, as a freshman, we got to see a little bit of what he could do. Definitely has the talent, so he'll be the #1 guy, and aiding him will be Aka Cedric Ware, who got a lot of touches this past spring. He is a senior. So I think the ground game may not be what it was last year, but it's not like it's going to be non-existent. They'll still be a factor and still help out. Now, the receiving core, you lose Deontay Burnett, who, just like Ronald Jones and Sam Darnold, decided to leave early to go to the next level. But you do have a guy that I do think will be an impactful player, even though he'll be just a true freshman, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Comes from a family of college receivers. His two older brothers, one played at Stanford, the other at Notre Dame. So now Amon-Ra St. Brown, we will see how he blends into the mix. And the good news is that he was a teammate of J.T. Daniels at Mater Dei, and just like Daniels, St. Brown, a 5-star recruit. So I don't think the chemistry between those two will be disturbed at all. You also bring into the mix Tyler Bonds. Last year as a freshman, had over 800 yards receiving. So the receiving core will still be very good. Michael Pittman Jr., he has experience. You have him back entering his junior year for the 5-down lineman return. So again, I think the ground game will still be beneficial. Pass protection, though, did have a bit of a setback after giving up just 12 sacks 2 years ago. They gave up 30 this past year. So there's an area that's got to be shored up. Right tackle position, Chuma Adoga, upperclassmen. In fact, 3 of the 4 coming back are seniors. Andrew Voorhees, underclassman at right guard, a sophomore. But you have some other players who have played quite a bit, including Chris Brown, not Freaky Friday Chris Brown, but Chris Brown at the left tackle spot. And you do have Toa Lomdon, a senior, playing that center position. And by the way, can't forget the tight end either in Tyler Pettit, a senior. So USC will still put up good numbers. Remember last year, #2 offense in the Pac-12 at 484 yards per game, even though I know they do have some players that decided to leave early for the pros. Defensively, well, only Clemson could match USC as far as getting to the quarterback as far as sacks. 46 sacks is what USC had in 2017. Again, they and Clemson were tied for the nationwide lead in that category. But you do lose some mega players from that defense, including Rasheem Green as well as Uchenna Nwasu. They were excellent at getting to the quarterback, so you have to replace them. Christian Rector, though, you do get him back at defensive line, a junior who last season had 7.5 sacks. And at the nose tackle position, Marlon Tupolatu, you'll have him as well. The linebackers are going to be some of the best in college football. This unit, I think, is top 5 in the country, including Cameron Smith. who did decide to stick around for one more year, entering his senior year, coming off 112 tackle performance in 2017. John Houston, you'll have him an inside linebacker, the junior. He had 84 stops. And at the outside linebacker, Jordan Isefa. The secondary, they can make plays, but at times were susceptible to the big play last year. You do have Iman Marshall staying for his senior year at one corner. Jack Jones at the other corner, not to be confused with the Jack Jones who sang the theme song to the Love Boat. And then at the safety position, you have Marvell Tell and nickelback Jenny Harris. So lots of experience in that secondary, which again has to do a better job in not allowing those mega plays from happening, but they do have the capability of making big plays on their own. I highlighted the 6 biggest games for the men of Troy, and most of these games on the road, including the second game at Palo Alto against Stanford. Remember last year the Trojans beat Stanford twice. The following week you play at Texas against the Longhorns from the Big 12. If you saw last year's overtime thriller between these two teams, many thought that Texas should have won the game, but of course had critical turnovers, especially down the stretch, which allowed USC to escape. September 29th, just 2 games later, at Arizona, and one heck of a quarterback in Khalil Tate. So USC will have their hands full. Same can be said about the mid-October game at Salt Lake City against Utah. The Utes usually play USC tough. Last year, the Trojans came from behind to win that game. Mid-November, throw the records out when you play your hated rivals, UCLA, and this time, new head coach, Chip Kelly. And you close out the year against traditional rival Notre Dame, but at least you get that one at home. USC, despite losing several talented players from last year's team, I still think are the most talented team in the division, and their linebacking core is loaded, and the secondary is full of speed. I look for USC to outlast the competition in the South and win another division championship and try to defend their crown in the Pac-12 championship game.